The Denver Broncos have added much needed pass rush help in the way of two-time Super Bowl champion, three-time Pro Bowler, former rival in the AFC West, former Kansas City Chief. His name is Frank Clark. Frank Clark has signed a one-year deal with the Denver Broncos to pair up with Randy Gregory on the edge of this defense. Frank Clark has been a playoff superstar over the past couple of seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs, always playing his best in the biggest of games. He is a power pass rusher that can win on the edge and get to the quarterback, and he's also a very steady run defender. Now, is he the player at his peak with Seattle that had 10 sacks, 13 sacks, 9 sacks, 3 years in a row, goes to Kansas City, dominates the playoffs? He isn't that player any longer. He's closer to 30 years old. His stats, his sacks have definitely dwindled over the years. They're not the same numbers you saw once upon a time, but he's still a good football player. He is a good, solid starter on the edge of any defense in the NFL, and I would say the biggest thing for him is he's a substantial upgrade over Nick Bonito, who was a unproven second-year player coming into this season, a second-round pick a year ago, or Baron Browning, who's more of a hybrid linebacker edge player who played a lot of snaps for you last year. So when looking at just the PFF grades alone, Frank Clark ranked 40 spots higher according to PFF's grading last year than either of those players. So that's a substantial upgrade in my mind. Again, you're not getting a superstar. Just because his name is Frank Clark, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowls, and you know who he is, he's not going to get you 10 sacks. But he's going to be startable. He's going to be consistent. He'll be able to play a lot of snaps. He played 880 plus snaps last year. Last year, he did have 5 sacks in 15 games, fairly solid numbers. 39 tackles, which was actually his highest number since 2019, coming to Kansas City in 2019. He had 8 tackles for loss, which was tied for his highest number with Kansas City, 13 quarterback hits, and a safety last season. He was named to the Pro Bowl in 2019, 20, and 21, 3 years consecutively. Not really because of his numbers, but more so due to his reputation. He's also a player that I would say has more of an impact over just the numbers alone. I think he is a good football player. At times, does he disappear as a pass rusher? Yes, but he is a guy that's very disruptive, and he can win in a multitude of ways. Inside, outside, win with length and power primarily. But he has a tenaciousness and a little bit of an edge to his game that you like to watch and like to see if you're a Broncos fan. But like I said, I think the biggest thing here is that it's a substantial upgrade at maybe the biggest need on your team. It's funny because a couple videos ago, I stated that I thought the Broncos defense was overrated because a lot of people think it's amazing. And I think there's aspects to it that are really good. And somebody asked me, why, Mitch, do you think it's overrated? And I said, because of the pass rush. I don't really see a lot of juice in the pass rush. Outside of Randy Gregory, who's pretty inconsistent, and Zach Allen, who I really like from the Cardinals, I don't really see a lot of true pass rusher type players. And even Zach Allen's an interior player. So I was kind of left a little bit concerned about where that was on the depth chart. But now that you've added Frank Clark, you've got Frank Clark on one edge, Randy Gregory on the other. Maybe Nick Bonito becomes a pass rush specialist in moments of games where he's now the third edge rusher instead of a starter. And then you have Zach Allen in the interior, big DJ Jones. So you've got a mix of good players on the inside and the outside where I can start to get behind the depth chart of the pass rush. Is it still one of the best in football? No, it's not close. But with your secondary, with hopefully improved linebacking position, and then I think a really good interior and good coaching, I think that this is a pretty solid Denver defense. I don't think it's a fantastic defense. I think it's probably in the above average category. But if you could get back on track from an offensive standpoint, I think this team is going to surprise some people. Like, I think if Russ can be good. He doesn't have to be Russell Wilson, but if he can manage the game, if he doesn't turn the ball over, if he makes a few throws every game, you run the football, good offensive line that you now have, Sean Payton's a wizard calling plays, I feel like this team is going to be in a lot of games because their defense actually outperformed their talent last year. They traded Chubb. Obviously, Von Miller left last offseason, so or even 2 years ago. So there's still enough of a defense here to be very competitive in the AFC and the AFC West, and I think Frank Clark is the latest addition to that. I like this player. I don't love this player. He's getting a little bit older, but he's still productive, and he's the type of player that on a one-year deal, I would really like because he may be playing for bigger money elsewhere, maybe next offseason. There's a reason for him to be really involved and ignited with this team. And he also is a part of this division, knows the offenses well, knows the quarterbacks, knows the offensive linemen, knows how to get past them and win. So Frank Clark, like I said, in these big moments, these big games, expect him to play well against the Chiefs. He will make an impact. That's the thing you've got to say first and foremost about him. Let me know in the comments, Denver Broncos fans, what you think of Frank Clark becoming a Bronco and upgrading probably your worst position before today. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Gronk, spike the like button, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.